Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Donor Centric Approach. This podcast is brought to you by MRP Donor Development, where we keep our donors at the center of everything we do, and our friends and sponsors at Stellar Web Systems, the nonprofit tech solution. As always, I am your host, Orlando Barros, and today we have a really special episode for all of you, especially all of you nonprofit leaders and ministry directors who are just out there doing it all, literally wearing all the hats. So if you are leading a mission and you're also having to do the fundraising and the development, I want to share something with you today. You are not alone. You are with so many others doing the exact same thing because, as a matter of fact, most of the organizations we work with, and literally or basically the majority of organizations who are nonprofits or ministries in America, don't have a full-time development director, let alone an entire team doing the fundraising and development for them. But that being said, there's good news. And the greatest of news that I have for you today is that not only can you still fundraise effectively, you can do it, grow your impact despite not having a huge staff. So that's why today's episode is pretty special. We are going to be talking about the top 3 challenges that the majority of small teams face when it comes down to fundraising. While we're talking about those 3 challenges, we'll also be sharing with you and giving you practical strategies that you can start using right away to overcome those challenges. And at the end, we're going to leave you with a simple, yet powerful and effective weekly framework to help you stay focused and consistent. Spoiler alert, it is so easy, literally anyone can do it. So whether you're the founder of your organization, the executive director, or just someone who loves the mission and wants to see it grow, this episode is for you. Now, I want to make a quick side note. If you're listening to this episode today and you happen to work for a larger organization, I do hope, and I want to encourage you to stay tuned because there's so much that you can actually implement even when working with big organizations. A lot of this stuff is going to resonate with our everyday work of raising funds and developing relationships with donors. So wherever on the fundraising spectrum and the size of your team is, you can get a lot of benefit from today's show. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start by talking about the reality of fundraising and development today. The truth is that most of us are dealing with a small team. A lot of us are doing it by ourselves. So I want to start us off today by normalizing something. It's okay not to have a full-time development person. It's fine. You're not alone. And again, you can do this. If you've been listening to the show for a while, or for at least the last 2 episodes of the podcast, you're going to resonate a lot with this, or this is going to sound familiar to you. The last 2 episodes, I think episode 6, we spoke with Kelly Bro from Redbird Ministries. And episode 7, we had Joelle Fitzmaurice on the show from Catholic Terps, that's also known as the Catholic Student Center at the University of Maryland. And both of them are doing great and incredible work. Both of them are doing all this work with limited teams. Kelly is the co-founder and executive director of the mission at Redbird Ministries, and also doing a lot of the fundraising and meeting with donors. Joelle is handling all the communications for the development, all of the events, doing all of the engagement with donors on her own while running an entire capital campaign. And in spite of all of this, they are still making it happen. They are still growing. They are reaching out and engaging donors, and they're doing the work, and it's bearing fruit. So again, if this is you, or if you're in a big team and feel discouraged, know that you are not behind and you can still catch up. You can make this work of fundraising and development possible, even if you have a very small or limited team. So let's talk about how we can make that easier on you. I now want to talk about, in order to bring this to the front, I want to discuss the three biggest challenges out there when raising funds with a small team. While we're talking about those things, I also want to discuss how to tackle those challenges. These are themes that we see often. We see these in leaders who are fundraising on their own while they're also leading the organization or with a very small team. I want to do this because not only do I see this a lot, but I found that people can also easily overcome them with just adjusting a couple of simple things in their mission. So let's talk about challenge number one: the limited amount of time that you have. And I want to start with this one because, as you know, this is the biggest one, right? You're doing 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things already. Oftentimes, fundraising feels like just one more task on the list, one more thing to just check off, one more thing that you have to do. Let's take a step back. We always talk about this is the core tenet of the work that we do in our organization here at MRP Donor Development. Believes plus relationships equals funds. I know that you believe in your mission, but the relationships that you need to build with your donors are imperative in the growth of your mission. Fundraising can at times feel like just one more thing, but it is a very important thing that you have to do. And I know that you don't have the time, or at least a lot of time. So one of the best thing that you could do is try to block out time for it and stay true to it. Let's start by doing this. You can block out 2 hours every week, and let's call it a cool name. You can call it the Donor Power Hours. Each week, just 2 hours of your 40-hour work week or your 60-hour work week. I need you to block out 2 hours. 1 hour is going to be done for outreach, and 1 hour is going to be done for stewardship. And literally put those on your calendar. Put alarms, put notifications. Make sure that you stay true to it, you don't skip them, and that they happen every week. Let me give you one extra pro tip while doing this. Fundraising just feels like one more thing that you have to do. One of the excuses that we use is that we don't have the perfect pitch yet, or we don't know how to talk to people, or when I call people, it just feels awkward. Listen, here's my pro tip. Simply doing it is better than perfect. I want to discourage you from waiting to craft the perfect email or the perfect proposal or the perfect appeal. I want to encourage you to simply reach out, connect with your donors, and most importantly, follow up. Again, you can do this by starting by blocking just 2 hours a week for this very important work. Challenge number 2. No formal or lack of a formal system or formal tools to help you with your fundraising and development. Now, this is a big one. And I talk about this all the time with the ministries and the nonprofits that we work with, but it is so integral to our program. We always say, you cannot count what you cannot measure. So I'm a big proponent of reports, CRMs, and all that stuff. Now, maybe you're just starting out, or maybe you just don't have the time. I want to tell you something. You don't need fancy software to get started. You really don't. And even if you do already have software or a good CRM, one of the things that you can do to just make the most of what you have is just simply to use it to the best of your abilities. There are CRMs out there like Bloomerang and Kindly. I believe they even have some free features that you can use. But you don't even have to go that fancy if you want. Just use Google Sheets as your starting point for your donor database, especially if you're just starting out. Use email templates so that you can save some time. I know that you want to have formal systems and formal tools. I know that that's your goal. But first of all, you don't have the time and you don't have the bandwidth. So use what you have to your advantage now. As you start to grow, then you can start putting formal systems in place. Now, again, another extra little pro tip that I have for you today that I want to encourage you to do is just to build out your own mini system for repeatable tasks. It's like your own version of your own CRM, right? Templates are key for this, right? Thank you notes. Do a template for thank you notes in your mini system. Do a template of what you want to say in your monthly donor updates. And get a bank or start building out a bank of impact stories, of testimonials of the people that are benefiting from your mission. The most important thing when you don't have formal systems or tools or the time to use them appropriately is to make sure that you make it easy to start building the systems out or using the systems appropriately by being consistent. So the more repeatable tasks that you have that you can just do over and over again, the better. Now let's talk about challenge number 3, which almost encompasses the first 2 challenges in one. You are wearing way too many hats. Again, you're not alone. And it can be frustrating. So let's acknowledge that for a second. Because you're not just fundraising or having to do the fundraising, you're also doing the programming. You're handling all of the operations. You are leading all of the communication efforts. It's a lot. Running a ministry or starting a nonprofit, it's a lot of work. So what strategy that you can implement is delegating or outsourcing as much stuff as possible, especially or most importantly, that stuff that doesn't quite require your voice. You need to pick that for yourself because I can give you a bunch of different stuff, maybe your social media posting or reaching out to partners. Maybe you do need that. Again, you need to figure that out for yourself and spend some time doing that. But what's most important is you just start taking stuff off your plate. The best way to do this is to use the people around you. Yes, I know that you may be a one-man show or a 2 or 3-man show. I get it. So there's a lot of people to delegate. Remember, you're a nonprofit. So you can get volunteers. That would be a huge help. Maybe interns, right? Or those who need volunteer hours for volunteer projects, maybe students. You can also use your board of directors and get them to commit to your organization at a deeper level, but doing some of the stuff that does not require your voice. Here's why I'm saying that the best of your time, or the most important part of your time, especially as you're growing, the impact and the outreach of your mission should be spent on relationships. Relationships with your donors or with your major prospects. That's where the money is. And that's how the mission's going to grow. So the less stuff that you can do in the nitty-gritty of running the organization, the more time that you can spend building the relationships with your supporters. Now let's talk about the little framework that I highlighted earlier in the show. Let me give you this super easy, but super practical weekly structure that anyone, especially any solo fundraiser or anyone on a small team, can use and replicate right now, starting today. Remember those 3 challenges, right? Lack of time, no formal systems or tools, and way too many hats. If that is you, I would encourage you to use this, what we call the fundraising focus framework. You can steal that title or give it your own. It doesn't matter as long as you get this done. This is, again, going back to that idea of blocking 2 hours a week to do the most important part of your fundraising and development work. The way that I like to break it down to make it super easy for you is to take your whole week, take your Monday through Friday, your work week, right? And break it down into 3 days. I like to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can do whatever days you want. But let's take Monday and block out 30 minutes. Maybe that's 9:30 after you catch up on emails, right? And you get settled. Or maybe 1:30 in the afternoon after lunch and you're just caught up with everything, right? 30 minutes on a Monday. And these 30 minutes should be specifically focused on stewardship. Those are thank you calls and thank you emails to those people who have already or are currently making gifts to your mission. That's Monday. Wednesday, block out 1 hour, 1 full hour, no breaks, right? You start with half hour on Monday. Now Wednesday, block out 1 hour, maybe at 10 o'clock or at 2 p.m. And this 1 hour is done solely with one purpose. You're blocking it out for one purpose. This is donor prospecting and or outreach, right? These are reaching out to contacts that have been made to you or introductions of possible donors or current donors that you know that you need to renew or have their gift increase. This is where you set up meetings. This is what you do in that 1 hour. Nothing else but that. Only outreach to donors. And then Friday, you end the week, now because you've already spent 90 minutes, right, of the 2 hours, 1.5 hours, doing the last 30 minutes. And this is, again, what I call the sharing of the social proof. This is where you work on your monthly updates, right? This is where you work on building out that testimonial bank of the people that are benefiting from your mission. This is where the impact stories that you're collecting and you could even use for future sharings next week on Wednesday, or what you can use when you're thanking them on Monday. Making sure that that time, those 30 minutes is exclusively used for that is going to allow you to build out that bank. And by the way, give you social proof that your mission is important. Like actual proof to show people why it is that they're supporting your organization. And that's it. 30 minutes on Monday, 1 hour on Wednesday, 30 minutes on Friday. It really is simple. Just keep it that simple. But most importantly, My encouragement is that you become consistent with these 2 hours. Be consistent with this framework, and you will, without a doubt, you will build the momentum that you need to make sure that your fundraising can grow and can take off, especially when it's still just you doing it or a very small team doing the fundraising and development for your organization. So, again, let's recap some of the action items for this week's episode that you can start doing right now. 1, block time for fundraising. Those 2 hours, at least at minimum, are super important. And please protect that time. Funding for your mission is critical, and your mission is worth funding. So make sure that you protect those, what I call the donor power hours. Those 2 hours a week, make sure they're protected. Block time for fundraising. 2, create repeatable systems. Again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you already have a CRM, great. Use it to your advantage to create those reports, to create those templates. If you don't have a CRM, great. Use what you have, Google Sheets, Gmail, to create the databases, the testimonial banks, and the templates that we need. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just get going and start, and make it easy by creating repeatable systems that you can continuously use. 3rd action item or actionable takeaway, focus on those relationships. Beliefs alone are not going to bring those funds. Just because you believe, and it is true, that you believe in your mission, but just because you believe that you have the greatest mission on earth, which is, I'm with you, I agree with you, it really is, to you and to so many, that's not enough to bring funds. You have to build those relationships. So you need to focus on those relationships. Conversations beat campaigns every time. If you want to compare the two. What I like to say all the time is that each donor or each prospect is its own or their own individual annual campaign. Conversations over campaigns, always. Reach out to people and build those relationships. And we're going to have a 4th one this week. Your last actionable takeaway is to simply remember that you are not too small to raise funds well. I'm telling you because I've seen it. The people that we're working with right now, you'll be surprised how small some of them are. Obviously, we're working with a couple that are just one-man teams. And they are doing it. And they are doing it well. Why? Because they're consistent. Consistency beats complexity. Much greater than complexity. As you continue to grow, you can add complexity to your systems. But for now, or at the very beginning, as you're just starting out, all you need to do is be consistent, and over time, you will see results. Again, if you're doing all of this alone, I see you. You are not alone. And I just want to remind you today that you don't need a full team or a big team to make a big impact. A small team can still produce a huge impact for their mission. With the right structure, with the right clarity, and the right focus, you can raise the money that you need to not just build your mission, but thrive and have a thriving donor base that's going to support you. And again, if you want any help in building out that plan, or at least a plan that fits your organization, I just want to humbly encourage you to reach out to us and connect with us. I would be honored to get to know you better. I want to just encourage you to head to the link in the show notes that we always put there to schedule your free strategy call, their 45-minute call with us. You can go to MRP Donor Dev, MRPDONORDEV for donor development, mrpdonordev.com to find out all the information that we have on our website. Our Calendly link is going to be in the show notes, but it's also on our website. You can book your call there. I just want to be a tool for you, and I really do hope that you found this episode today super encouraging, because I do believe in you, and whatever your size, you can make an impact today. Thank you. Thank you so much. Each and every week, I'm just humbled and honored that you are here and you spend time with us just listening to what I have to say. So thank you again for listening. If you have not subscribed yet, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our podcast. It just would mean a lot to us if you did. And you're going to get notifications every time a new episode is up. At the very least, just share this episode with someone who you believe would benefit from it or you believe would need it. But as always, I'm just grateful for you. And thank you so much. I will see you here next time on the Donor Centric Approach. And remember to keep your donors at the center of all that you do, and you will see results. Thank you so much. God bless. Take care.